Hi, welcome to this episode of Outlaw Eco Build. We're excited this week to show you what we've been doing in the extension room, which is almost finished. As you can see, the entrance there, we've got almost all the render done, and inside we're already painting. Come, let me show you. We've got a finished and very dirty floor, and we're on the painting already. Nick has installed all of the electrics and the switches and stuff, and the wood burning stove on its own little platform. We had our first experience this week with sculpting with the cob. Up until now we've just used the cob for the walls to cover the bags before we rendered it, but this week I forgot to film the making of this nice curved fireplace feature, which was Nick's idea. There is some nice details there that just needs to be painted and the chimney go in, but we're not going to need that anytime soon. So today we're on the paint and almost done with that. This is a lime wash, so that's like the same lime that you use for the render mixed with water to make a kind of paste, and then you can use the organic pigment powder to mix the right colours. This is also what we use on the outside of the house, so we've got like that terracotta colour outside, and in the conservatory here we did a nice sagey green colour. There's like really no limit to the kind of colours that you can use for this, but it always has a really nice milky, chalky effect on the wall. So in here we went for a nice kind of sandy colour, a warm beige, and we're super happy with that. I think actually we're going to paint the house this colour too, because I painted that white, and we both agreed that it was really too cold. We much preferred the warm colour, which was actually inspired by the kind of original colour that the lime render is. Lime wash has been used to paint homes since ancient Egypt, maybe even longer. It's a very simple method of mixing ground limestone with water to form a kind of milky, pasty paint texture, which you can then really easily colour with pigmented powders. I would recommend mixing the pigmented powder with the lime dry before you add the water to make sure you get a really thorough mix. And you need to apply that with a good, thick, big, heavy brush. You can't apply this with a roller because it dries out as soon as it touches the wall much faster than a regular paint. One other really nice thing about lime wash and lime render is that it's completely mold resistant because of the high pH. Because of the high content of lime, it's not possible for mold and fungus to grow on this kind of wall. So that's the progress so far in here. Noah's room is almost done. I can't wait to get in here and clean up this floor and get some nice pictures. And yeah, that will probably be in next week's episode. But for this week, we're going to cover what we have finished, and I want to show you what we did with the roof, the green roof and the plants, and even the irrigation. Nick's got that all irrigated and completely finished and ready to go. So the first thing we did when it came to constructing the green roof on this extension room was to apply the insulation. This is standard 40mm roof mate polystyrene boards. It's otherwise known as rigid board insulation. We found this super perfect for the job. We use this also in the house. This is the only insulation in the house, as a lot of you guys have noticed and asked us. We're going to do a video to explain why our walls in the house are not insulated, but it is of course necessary to insulate the roof. Firstly, this time of year to keep the heat out in the summer, but to keep it also in the winter. So here's Nick installing the last part of the roof there. This is actually a little porch, it's like an overhang. And then we sized up this brown plastic. We needed to size that up first because the first layer of plastic is actually a very fragile, clear layer of transparent plastic to make sure that no water gets in there, but you can't walk on that. So we sized this up first, then we removed it and applied the clear plastic, and then we put this back on there. This is a kind of rigid plastic. It's the sort of thing you'd use for a retaining wall. Just an extra layer against the...
And now I would make a cut because
the water. Then you can see there's like old carpets and dust blankets and stuff before we applied another root barrier. And this here is actually just sand and gravel. We use the sand because we plan to plant succulents on the roof here, and they hold that all together really well. But that's all they need. They need a really well draining substrate. So we've got some sand, and we made these gravel channels as well. The roof, it's not completely flat, of course, it's made of organic material, so we used those gravel channels there. The theory is that this is going to direct the water all the way to the front and away from the roof, and avoid any areas where it might pool. The succulent that we used for the roof, it's a type of ground creeping, heavy rooting succulent. It's commonly known as ice plant. And it's really great for insulating the roof, and these roots also tie together all of the soil and the sand really well. For the irrigation, Nick installed this kind of automatic system. All you have to do is switch on the tap. It's on its own little system, so you can switch it on only for this area of the roof. And for this we used a 16mm drip pipe. It's releasing, I think, about 4 litres of water per hour per hole. So it doesn't have those little sprinklers, it has just these little holes in the pipe which allows a tiny drip on each plant. These succulents don't need a lot of water at all, and as I mentioned earlier, they like that in a really well draining soil. So that's the update for this week. We have an almost finished room. We've completed the paint now, so Nick and I are going to come in here today and clean all this up. Get all the render and the paint off the floor and move in some furniture for Noah to stay in here. Probably it's going to be his first night in his new room tonight. So it's a big day for him. We're all very excited. Thank you as always for watching. You guys that have followed us from the very beginning, you will know we went all the way from the foundations to the finished build like this. If you're just joining us now, you can go back and look at our previous videos and you can see how we did this from the very beginning. As always, if you have any questions or if there's anything we missed, please leave us it in a comment below, and I'll do my best to answer that, myself or Nick. Stay tuned next week because we have a very special announcement. We've been working behind the scenes on a super special project that we're really excited about, and we can't wait to share with you, but I don't have the date, so I can't tell you today.